as I said, we are delighted that, Friends of MP is blessed not just with our participants, attendees, but also dignitaries, both in professional life and government. And I'm delighted that CP Gurnani ji, who is the CEO and MD of TechMahindra, is actually here with us today. And it's a great pleasure for us. Gurnani ji is originally from Neemuch, and he mentions that every now and then everywhere about his Neemuch upbringing. He was awarded by the MP government as a brand ambassador 3 years back in Friends of MP Global Summit. He's joining us from India. He's also got few of their SVPs who are joining. We welcome them all. Gurnani ji, it's a pleasure to have you here, and we would like for you to say a few words to all our attendees, our companies, and give them guidance. Thank you very much, sir, for joining.
Somebody needs to unmute me.
Yes, sir, we did, sir.
Thank you. I mean, I know that the tigers of Bandhavgarh have come today to New Jersey, and you guys are roaming free, all the tigers, and we in India are right now being caged and being advised to be very, very careful.
Yes, sir.
I can only say that the common joke in the Indian IT industry was that there were two people from Neemuch. One was Abid Neemuchwala, the more famous, the more illustrious, the doyen of the bigger company, and me, who was always trying to grow up and become a Neemuchwala.
Sir,
so,
go ahead. Go ahead, please.
So I can only say is that I don't know if you invited Abid or not, but the reality is that
can we have the spotlight on Abid Neemuchwala, please? This is a great moment for Friends of MP to have the two doyens of Madhya Pradesh together.
So I'll say two things. One is great to see you, CP, and I know right now I feel lucky we are in the US, but the times in India are very difficult. But he talked about a joke in the Indian IT industry, and we both feel very proud that, even not only MP, but just one city that both of us are from, which is Neemuch. But the second thing also is that don't take the second part of CP's joke seriously, okay?
So it is never a joke, yaar. Abhi dekho, so from being the doyen of the Indian IT industry and ruling the world from Dallas, now he's become Mr. Moneybag. So for guys who don't know, Abid Neemuchwala has got a checkbook where he can put more dollars than many countries around the world.
Great, sir. CP sir, would you like to say something to the companies, please?
So anyway, guys, I mean, again, lovely meeting all of you, and clearly the love for MP, that on a weekend, all of you are together, about 250 of us, all of us together, clearly shows that we are in good hands. As a matter of fact, last June, I was getting restless and I drove to Indore because it was just one of those things that I had been locked in for too long. And I don't know if Savan Ladda is on the call, but Savan actually hosted me in Indore. And what was remarkable about, for many of you who remember that March is when the lockdowns in India started. For about 2 months, we had lockdowns in India. And Savan and his wife Preeti run a WeWork equivalent facilities out of Indore.
Correct.
And they've also grown their businesses into 8 or 10 other cities. So when I went to Indore, Savan took me around. And two things were very, very common out there. One was his 10-year-old son was an entrepreneur and he had started his own business. And he was arranging canteen supplies to his fellow students. And I still distinctly remember the example that Savan's son gave me. And he said, Pringles in India costs about 99 rupees and he is able to sell it at 70 rupees because at wholesale he buys it at 66 rupees. Now, my point was entrepreneurship is in the blood of MP. And if that entrepreneurship can be extrapolated and Saman Ladda being able to change from a resource sharing, a time sharing, a seat sharing capability into supplying furnitures at home, because he realized that there is an opportunity in business that people maybe have to convert part of their bedrooms into studies. And he did a tie-up with Godrej and whichever company, and he made money by supplying furniture. So my point is, if all of us can learn a lesson, MP today has referenceability in all 246 of you as friends of MP. MP has entrepreneurship, which has been demonstrated by a 10-year-old and a 40-year-old. Number three, there is marketing built into us. That is why we are here together. Now, whether we end up doing a Baba Ramdev Yoga Festival, or whether we do a Bandhavgarh Tiger Festival, it is for us to showcase Madhya Pradesh. And last but not the least is, like in business, all of us sit down and look at what is our core competence, what are the adjacencies, and what are the breakout strategies. I think what we had started 3 years ago, it was actually what, 2.5 years ago in Indore, where friends of MP got together,
Yes.
and we were discussing how to leapfrog. We were discussing that in today's environment, creating one more campus is not the right way. Question is, can we create innovation hubs? Can we create centers of excellence? If MP is the heart of India, that Madhya word, Madhya Pradesh is central. The second largest state in India, heart of India, and with everybody expanding, can we become the logistics hub of India? Can we create a model where the entrepreneurship is recognized and encouraged in a way that it is not limited only to tie in Indore or a tie in potentially in Jabalpur or Bhopal? I think there is a whole need for all of us at 246 people to break this, what I call a challenge, into smaller challenges. And if some of us can work together and look at which partnerships to flourish, which centers of excellence to create, which innovation hubs to create, we don't have to be only known for Mahakal Mandirs. We don't have to be known only for Panchmadis. I think there is a lot more to be done. And the focus is on inclusiveness. The focus is on employment. The focus is on creating it as an education hub. And I believe the opportunities are immense. I'm happy that all of you are taking a lead. I'm happy that there is leadership here. Let's work together and let's make MP now not only known for Gwalior or Jabalpur or touristy spots, but now seen as an activity hub. And my dream is people of MP should not be going to different states for employment. People should be coming into MP for employment, and having only one or two industrial hubs is not enough. I think we need to do more. So I'm going to take a pause here, Jitendra. Uh, all I can say is that I'm with you guys and I would love to participate with you.
Thank you very much, Gurnani sir. From all of us, we are really delighted by your very inspiring comments. In all humility, this attempt that we made, I'm told by our Honorable CG, Mr. Randhir Jaiswal, who's also here with us, and we also have Mr. John Kingsley from MP government here, is that this attempt that Friends of MP, and we had also been doing just the social stuff in last 6 years. This is the first attempt by any diaspora organization in the world, in its own humble way, to get innovators from their state showcased at a global platform. And with your guidance and inspiration, we will definitely try to take it forward. Thank you very much, Gurnani sir. I would also like to now introduce Randhir ji Jaiswal, the Honorable CG of New York, who has been a co-partner and a great inspiration for us in organizing this event. And we also have Mr. John Kingsley from MP government, who's joined from Bhopal. I would now request Randhir sir to please share his comments.
Good morning, everybody here in United States. Good evening to those who have joined from India and elsewhere around the world. Very warm greetings to all of you from the Indian Consulate in New York. We are delighted to be a partner in this Innovation in MP workshop organized by the Friends of MP. I must say that they have made special efforts to design and put together this program. Out of 100+ companies today, we'll have some 11 of them presenting their project, but they've really worked hard, and we are so delighted. Possibly this could become a model for other diaspora organizations here to take forward their efforts to promote entrepreneurship and startup connections between the United States and various states in India.
Okay, now without further ado, we already saw that while Madhya Pradesh is in flavor today at Innovation in MP, it's clearly the day of Neemuch. So let's have the other stalwart from Neemuch, Abidali Neemuchwala ji. And can we have a slide, please? I don't think Abidali ji needs any kind of introduction. He's led Wipro and currently is in Dallas in a venture capital. It's so interesting that Abidali ji and I have been communicating over LinkedIn for the last 4 years. And somehow or the other, he could not join a Friends of MP program. But this time he consented. And just to give a thing, I actually asked him that, sir, would you be able to join for 30 minutes and just grace us? And he immediately replied, Jitendra, I intend to be there for the whole 2 hours. So thank you, Abidali ji, and over to you, please.
Jitendra ji, first of all, thank you for having me. I know you've been relentless for a long time, and while I've always tried, because MP and Neemuch obviously is Janmbhoomi and very close to my heart. This brings me close to all of you stalwarts, as CP said, the tigers who keep MP's flag flying high. So I want to first congratulate you for organizing the diaspora here. And as you said, the first time a diaspora is organized for innovation, which makes me even more proud, because today the whole world is about innovation. I moved from a corporate career into promoting innovation through venture capital, and I will talk a little bit about that. I also want to take this opportunity to thank, on behalf of the Indian diaspora in US, our frontline over here, which is the entire team of our embassy and our represented by Consul General over here, Shri Jaiswal, and Ambassador Sandhu's team, our own Consul General here in Houston, Asim Mahajan. Through the pandemic, all of them have been in the front lines on many, many things that each one of us in the diaspora need in these difficult times. And they've really stepped up to represent us, help us, whether it is through the Vande Bharat flights, whether it is through many, many other emergencies that the diaspora has had. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize that team which is present over here. I was also very impressed to see that the presentations began with 2 ladies, both Aarti and Pooja, which is not only it is making me proud about MP, but it is about the women of MP as well, being entrepreneurs. And as it was rightly said in one of the presentations, and CP emphasized on it, that the thing I learned, all my business skills, I learned because I was in Neemuch, and everybody is a businessman. At least I've seen very closely in Neemuch, but as I traveled MP, the whole Indore to Neemuch belt especially, we just need to find an opportunity to create a business out of it. So I'm very glad to see very impressive startups, whether it is Smurg or Swaha or Anexi, Technido, the water company, and DigiSparsh, and I'm sure I'll see many more interesting ones. I want to share a few thoughts about the whole innovation ecosystem and why I'm so excited about it. Because long back in Silicon Valley, a lot of money was invested in venture capital, but now that has become a big deal in India. About 15 years back, almost the venture capital in India was zero. I started tracking it from about 2011, 12, and if I remember right, it was roughly about $300-400 million, which was going into venture capital. And I started Wipro Ventures when I was at Wipro, and we set aside about $100 million. And that is the time my eyes opened to the various innovation happening all over the world, but also started to just bud in India. So as I kind of started thinking about what I should do next, one of the things, both being engaged with technology, living my entrepreneur's dream, because I've had a corporate career for 30 years, and to be able to promote and in some sense, in a small way, give back to the young people. I had been fortunate to participate in the building of Indian IT industry, but I think today India needs to be known for building the biggest innovation for the whole world, the innovation hub of the world, or the innovation factory of the world is how I would like India to be known as. An MP can be the front runner for India. Today, almost $10 billion a year is being invested in India on various startups focused. And today, every business is a technology business. So when I talk about startups, it invariably has a technology component in it. And I feel that there are 4 very important aspects that make an innovation ecosystem successful. The first is talent. You need to have brilliant talent, innovative talent to be able to do innovation. And now, being an Indian of Indian ethnicity, nobody anywhere has to say that Indians are talented, especially in technology. I remember the first time, I think it was 95, that I flew to the US. I had American Caucasian sitting next to me, and we started talking. And he said, "Where do you belong from?" And then he said, "So are you in the motel business?" Today, if they see any Indian sitting next to you on a flight or anywhere else, the first question is, "Are you a technologist?" So we've proved ourselves to be talented. So we have talent in India. The second thing that is required is capital. And our parents' generation was the generation which was like the fixed deposit generation. All of their savings they would put in fixed deposit, which is the lowest risk, reasonable return generation. And that is how capital was plowed back from savings into whatever the industry would need. We became a little more comfortable, or the generation after them became a little more comfortable with equities. The whole stock exchange boom that you see now in NSE and BSE, and people became comfortable investing their disposable incomes into equity. And then this is the generation, our generation now, especially those of who have gone through the Indian IT industry, who've seen the world through other industries as well, become a little more global, are now fearless to invest in what I call as venture capital, or capital which has relatively higher risk but is able to give higher returns. So again, it's great that this is a combination of what I feel very heavily, that the diaspora, Indian diaspora, who understands India very well, in US especially, because in US some of these things had started happening about 8-10 years earlier, but now it is happening in India as well. And venture capital is available to promote these kind of startups and make capital available to them. The third thing which is required apart from talent and capital is what I put in a general bucket called enablement. And today we are very fortunate with our government, with the 2 representatives from the government over here and many more, the Prime Minister himself talking about Digital India, Startup India, a lot of investment through SIDBI. And as a venture capitalist, I see all of that Atal Innovation Mission. A lot of the incubators, my own alma mater, I went to NIT Raipur, which was in MP at that time, has just got a grant of over 10 crore rupees to set up an incubator over there. And of course, IITs and others have had incubators for a long time now. Both capital and enablement available to, I always used to think, what is the Stanford equivalent of Palo Alto and the Silicon Valley? And today IITs and NITs are playing that role. And I would highly encourage you to connect with them, with what you do, because that enablement helps grow the startup ecosystem as well. And the fourth aspect, which I think we need to do a little more work yet, is customers. So the Indian consumer has been on the forefront of adopting digital technology. Actually, if you kind of look at Paytm or Udan or Ola or Delivery or any of these big unicorns that India has had, primarily it has mostly been in the B2C space, because the Indian consumer has adopted innovation much faster. I've personally taken a mission on myself to work with my peers in India Inc. to be able to adopt innovation. When a startup has a product to sell and you are a company in India, a business house in India, how do you buy from an Indian startup rather than going to a global technology company based out of the US? Because one of the things that I see in the venture world is that if the customers are not there in India for Indian startups, especially in the B2B world, then the startups automatically start moving, talent starts moving to the US, then capital comes from US, and the whole ecosystem gets focused here in the US. So I think I'm very excited to see such amazing ideas over here. And I think that the whole startup ecosystem is ready for making India the innovation factory. And again, great work being done here. One more thing I want to talk about is, a lot of startups look at being in business with what I call it the clicks model, which is essentially, grow the business, but there is no line of sight of revenues, no line of sight of margins, no line of sight of cash. And very early on, growing up in MP, I learned this phrase, which I want to share with all of you, which is very unique to MP, because we're so full of businessmen and business communities, that revenue is vanity, profits is sanity, and only cash is reality. And even through the presentations and question answers, I could see that flavor of MP coming out of startups. And venture capitalists like me love startups which are already producing not only revenue but margins and cash as well. So I wanted to continue to be focused on that path. Through Dallas Venture Capital, of course, we have a very focused mandate where we deploy capital. We deploy capital in Series A startups, on B2B, business to business SaaS software platforms. Some of you will qualify for that, some of you may not, but I'll be very happy to help any of you that need any help, whether to kind of refer to people who can bring. I know there are tons of people over here who will be able to invest, but anything I can do, or even bring mentorship. Some of you talked about cross-border sales, wanting to sell in the US and stuff like that. All of that is something that we all over here can enable you. Those who think you qualify within the Dallas Venture Capital mandate, feel free to put up your pitch deck into the DVC, DallasVC.com website, and we'll be happy to consider making an investment if things work out. But again, congratulations and all the best.